Hello, midlife badass listeners. Today, my guest is a referral from another previous guest, Lorianne Marabito. He is a dear friend of hers, and she told me that I needed to meet him, and she was absolutely right. As soon as I met Steve, we had a beautiful conversation, and I said, "You know what? I really need to have you on the show." And he said, "I would be delighted." So today's episode I'm welcoming Steve to the show. He's a funny guy. He's done stand-up comedy. We have a lot in common, actually. Been a keynote and is a keynote speaker. He was a radio host for many, many years, and he's just an all-around amazing person. He is very helpful to other people, helping them realize their dreams and their goals and coaching, from a coaching perspective, and he has a little bit of a different twist on things because he has been to the very bottom and to the very top and everywhere in between. So I want you to dig into this episode a little bit with me and Steve. And I hope it resonates with you because he's got some really good life messages. So here we go. Without further ado, Steve Gamlin. You're listening to Midlife Strategies for Badass Women, the no BS podcast for women over 40 who are sick of playing by someone else's rules. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, badass midlife strategist, truth teller, and professional fire starter for midlife reinvention. Around here, we don't do fluff. We do real talk, bold strategies, and badass breakthroughs. Because midlife isn't a crisis, it's your damn power move. If you're all in, unapologetic, and ready to reinvent, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fascinating episode of Midlife Strategies for Badass Women. And my guest today is not a badass woman, but he is just a badass in general on so many levels. And I'm just going to bring him on. Steve Gamlin, I am so thrilled to have you here today. We've had conversations before, and I feel like I've known you for a really long time. And I'm happy to have you on the show today and to chat with you. We've had some really good conversations. We should have had the mic on before this show the other day when we were talking, but we're here now. And let's chat. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and you don't have to go all the way back to your birth because that would be a while. Not as long as it would be for me to go back to my birth date, which is coming up. Anyway, so tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you, like me, have been through many iterations, and where are you? How are you showing up today, and how did you get here?
Well, thank you, Sue, first off, for having me on the show. And yes, we definitely should have rolled. I say rolled tape because I was in radio back when we used tape. We could have recorded that conversation. That would have been a show in itself. Basically, I'm 57 years old. I live in a little tiny town in southern central New Hampshire. And I won't go back to birth, but I will say at age 11, I wanted to be a radio DJ, a stand-up comedian, an author of my own books, and a teacher of people. And over the past, let's see, for 57 minus 11, 46 years, I have managed
Good
to
math.
enjoy, thank you. I've managed to enjoy all of these things and reach some pretty amazing heights in my life. And in between them, some heart-crushing lows, which led to one of my keynote stage stories that I share. It's called Some Days Your Phoenix Rides a Pogo Stick. So I've success, failure, pain, pleasure, happiness, sadness, depression, everything in between. Put it all in the blender and welcome to my life. And I wouldn't trade it.
Delicious. Can't wait. All right. Well, that's a lot to unpack, and I don't know. We might have to have a mini series going. I do say that from time to time. We'll just have you on. You can do chapters and stuff. But so talk about the highs and the lows, right? And you've been on the radio. You've had all these, highs and lows and everything like that. You're on the pogo stick. Where's the pogo stick now? Is it up or down?
Right now, unfortunately, I'm going through a rough season as far as my personal life. Unfortunately, my wife, Tina, passed away unexpectedly last December. So it's been a year that I would not wish on anyone.
Yeah.
But because I'm surrounded by some of the most amazing people, and I was already on an upswing, so it was just a bit of a hit back down to the ashes. The tail feathers got burnt off again.
Yeah.
But right now, and everything I'm going through, and the fact that I still feel her presence here with me in our home on a daily basis, I still feel very connected to her. And a promise I made to her in January of 2023, after the pandemic and a couple of deaths of people very close to me. There have been 4 deaths in a 6-year span of people very, very close to my
Oof.
life, including
It's a
my
lot of
dad, my
grief.
business mentor, our little dog, and then Tina.
Mm.
Made a promise to her in January of 2023. She came to me one day and gave me a big, tight, tight hug and said, "Honey, can I ask you a favor?" I said, "Sure, baby. What?" "Could this be the year that you get famous again?" Which, whenever she said famous, it just meant that I was out on stages speaking and traveling because the pandemic took all that away.
Yeah.
And, in came the depression and, of course, the passing of 3 other people very close to me. So, we're on the pogo stick, and I am doing my best to bounce back up, and a big reason for that is I will be speaking at grief conferences at some point.
Mm.
In between the scientific and the structure of the message and the methods of grief and recovery, I'm gonna be the flavor, sharing my story so that anybody seated in the shadows who may wanna leave that room and go running and make a decision that could harm or end their lives because they're so fresh in their grief, uh, I need to be so amazingly passionate and charismatic and caring that they stay in their seats until they get a shred of hope, and then they seek out
Mhm.
somebody qualified to help guide them through it as I've had this past year.
Ugh, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, Steve. I do appreciate it, and I too can totally relate to the grief. I lost my one of my little dogs last unexpectedly last Wednesday. So,
Oh, wow.
not that to be a Debbie Downer here with the show,
Yeah.
but it is. I mean, and I mean, it was not my wife, or it was not my husband, it was not, but they do leave a mark, like you said. They do leave a big hole, and and he was a very special little guy. His name was Benny, and he had a very special place in my life and in the lives of others, even though he himself suffered from almost like uh, paralyzing anxiety and stuff. So, but it was interesting because anybody that could see his soul and feel his heart was touched by him. So I get it, you know. Um, but yes, it's difficult, and I thank you, like I said, for sharing all of that. And I I am excited for you to be able to, and we talked about this when we had our other conversation, to be able to get back on stage and speak from the scar and not the wound,
Yeah.
and be able to help other people that are not there yet. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I was on the phone from England, which is where we're traveling with Tina Past.
Mhm.
And about the 3rd day, I reached out to my speaker agent because I did not want her reading or finding out about it on social media. And I told her that, when I'm ready, just be prepared that I'm gonna be targeting grief conferences and for the exact reason that I just shared with you. And I told her that, still shaking, still shattered, and still numb 3 days after Tina passed.
Mm,
I knew that was something I was going to not only want to do, but have to do.
yeah.
Being somebody who likes to help others, then that's, I thought that would be a pretty good mission and a definitely a good reason to honor. I always called her my Tina, to honor my Tina.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, and I believe that she will be so thrilled that you're doing that.
Yeah, she'll be rolling her eyes. So if you happen to, if you have anybody who can feel and sense spirits and can see those who have departed,
Mhm.
she'll be the one. I always refer to her as my beautiful, blue-eyed, blonde angel wearing fabulous shoes. If you happen to see her rolling her eyes, that's my Tina.
I love that,
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, wow, alright, well, we certainly did kick things off here, didn't we, in in true form. So, I would speaking of geez, let's see, you had a little, not one if it was near-death experience, but you've had a little experience that brought you close to death. Since we're on the topic, and I think I believe it, and it had something to do with golf balls?
It did, yes, August of 2003. This, in case anybody's wondering in advance, this was a trough. This was the ashes. This was the land of no more tail feathers. I had just walked away from a successful 10-year radio career. My first marriage had just ended. I was in my early to mid-30s and had to move back in and live with family. And at a very low point in my life, on a Friday hot and humid afternoon here in New England, I decided to take out all my frustrations and self-loathing, because I've got a history of very bad self-talk and low self-esteem and um, imposter syndrome and everything. And it was really all coming to a head. And I just happened to drive past this mini golf place that had a driving range. And I said, hey, for a $3 bucket of golf balls, I'm going to exercise some demons. So I
There you
went to the
go.
farthest tee box in the property because I am a horrible golfer. And I didn't want to dent anyone's car in the parking lot because I'm an equal opportunity slicer. So I went to the farthest tee box, which coincidentally was also under this row of steel-towered power lines. And it was hot and humid. What happens in New Hampshire on a hot and humid day in August? A thunderstorm started.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there I
I
am.
remember those thunderstorms in
Oh,
the
yeah. There I
afternoons
am.
in New England. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Barefoot in the wet grass, under power lines, hitting a bucket of golf balls, and two gentlemen that were near me a couple tee boxes away ran away and left their full buckets of golf balls there. So I hit my bucket and their bucket, and I was swinging for almost an hour. And at one point, I just held the club up in the air and not mad at God, but just tempting the storm. I just swung it in a little circle and said, "Go ahead. I
I
dare you.
dare you.
I dare you." So at the end of the
Bring it.
hour of doing this, I went out to my car. I could hardly lift my arms. I opened the door of my car and the rain stopped and a couple little cracks of light came through the dark clouds in the sky. And I just started laughing. I just thought, hey, God, well played. I thought that was funny. And the next day, I was on a phone call with a brand new life coach I just started working with. I was one of his first clients. So he was test driving everything on me. I was the guinea pig.
Mhm.
And he asked, how was your week? And I said, well, check out what this dumbass did yesterday. And as funny as I could make it sound, horribly self-deprecating, but as funny as I could make it sound, I told him the story of that hour. And when he stopped laughing, which is something you should not do when your client's life sucks and you're supposed to be helping them, he said, I got two questions for you. Are you this open and honest about your life with everybody? And I said, yeah. And then he asked, have you ever thought of being a motivational speaker or a stand-up comedian? I think you would really enjoy both. He didn't know about my goals when I was 11 because I had not shared that with him yet. So for him to see that and ask it, to which I answered, yeah, I've wanted to do both since I was a kid, but I have no idea how to pursue either one. In the junk mail pile on his desk was a brochure to a local community college that had a class that started 2 weeks later called Intro to Stand-Up Comedy. And I took it. And a week after that, my first Toastmasters meeting. Within 6 months, I was doing stand-up, and my very first, very awkward, very horrible speaking events. And I've got VHS tapes to prove it. That's how long I've been speaking. So I'm not just talking, humbly saying, well, I wasn't very good when I started out. I'm saying it in a loud, bold font like Goudy Stout, 24 pixels. I sucked.
Mhm.
But I look back at those moments now. I don't delete them. I just look back and go, oh my gosh, that's adorable. Because it gave me the guts to keep going. Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate to the stand-up comedy thing, and I've done some speaking, not to the level that you do, but I took that same intro to stand-up comedy, and then we had to the culmination was a performance,
Mhm.
and of course, my mother was there because she I couldn't have kept her away if I tried, and it was embarrassing as well, for a lot of reasons,
Yeah.
right? But one, my mother was in the audience and she was laughing at everything. I'm like, "Oh my god, please just stop. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that, but please just stop." Uh, yeah. So anyway, it was fun. I can totally relate. But here's the thing. You did it. You and like you said, you've got VHS proof, I'm pretty sure I do somewhere as well, uh, that you sucked. Good for you. But you can't, every master was once a disaster, so
Yeah.
you gotta start somewhere.
Mhm.
And I think that would be a great segue for our next a little bridge, um, about people, um, you talk about helping people. We have so many things like that that we can't overcome to be able to get up on stage. I mean, it's a big deal to get up on stage and even just speak, open your mouth in front of people. Never mind, try and get them to laugh. Uh, and and but there's a lot of things that aren't even that intimidating that people have a hard time doing. And I'd love to hear, kind of your thoughts around that. Before we got on air, we talked about, my guest this past week, the show that just dropped, yesterday, was an intuitive healer, and she was talking about vision boards and, affirmations and all of these things, and how you can have all of the vision boards in the world and all of the affirmations in the world, but if you're not in touch with your nervous system and in tune with your nervous system, it's never going to happen.
No.
And, her line is, "You can't gaslight your nervous system," right?
I like
So
that.
I loved that. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I would, because I know that you are, a mentor, a coach, and that you work with people and around some of those things, and I'd love to hear your perspective on that and, what you do to get over those perceived, speed bumps.
Yeah. Oh, the first thing I tell people is, look, if you think vision boards are all about gathering stuff, you are very, very wrong. For me, it's much more visualization, vision boards, manifestation, law of attraction, all of that. It's much more about who you become than what you get. And I
Mm,
love how she explained that, meaning that if your nervous system doesn't believe it, if your habits don't put you on the path toward getting it, if you have no confidence that you're going to manifest this or somehow create it by working with the universe, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. And it escapes you now who said this. It may have been Henry Ford, but I'm not sure. Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.
exactly. Yeah.
Because so many people, especially at the beginning of the year, reach out to me. Hey, Steve, I made a vision board. Can I share it with you? Sure. You know what I see about 90% of the time? The same stuff.
Mm,
Lamborghini, yacht, private jet, mansion, helicopter, big honking gold watch, and a bank vault full of gold bars or stacks of cash.
yeah.
And I
I think
always
you
say the
called it
same
the
thing.
vision board starter kit.
The vision board starter kit, yeah. And if you write books, there used to be a picture of Oprah on there as well because
Oh,
she should
yeah.
be part of the starter kit. Because all you had to do was have
Absolutely.
Oprah say the name of your book, and all of a sudden you're gonna be a bestseller. But people do that because they think it's all about stuff and what you get. It's not. It's about who you become in the process.
Mm,
And another way that I go about it and work with people is reminding them there are 8 different areas of your life. And I use the life wheel, which is a pretty standard tool in the personal
mhm.
development world. I've tweaked it a bit for the way that I teach it. I believe you need to set at least one goal and a 1-year goal. Don't start off with this 20-year stuff because you're going to scare the hell out of yourself and you're going to bail right back to your
Right.
old habits. 1
My
year.
nervous
Now,
system would be like, "Ah."
oh, yeah. Yeah. Like those cartoons where you used to see Tom and Jerry chasing each other and one
Yeah.
of them would get electrocuted. And all you see is the skeleton and then they're just sitting there for a moment with steam coming out of their ears. That's what we do to ourselves all too
Mhm,
often. So I suggest to people, hey, look, give me some 1-year goals. Now, if it's a 20-year goal, awesome. Love those. Tell me how much progress you want to make in 1 year and who you want to become in the process. And the 8 areas that I
mhm.
invite them to work in are your physical health, your emotional well-being. Imagine that, setting goals for the emotions you want to feel on a regular basis. Very important. Your closest relationships, your core values that guide everything you do, your thoughts, words, and actions. Your faith, if that's an important part of your life, which is kind of the same thing, but the authority comes from a different direction. Your
Mhm.
connection to people in real ways. And boy, didn't that take a beating a couple of years ago
Mm,
when we weren't supposed to be all around each other. We had a lot of addiction, we had a lot of depression, we had a lot of very bad things happening to us in our mental and
yeah.
emotional health. And then your career and your money after that. And that's when I get pushback. People go, whoa, 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 that's a lot. Should I make a separate vision board for each one? Hell no. Because they're all working together 24/7 to make a complete version of you. And here's the thing, and this is the story I tell people. Look, if you just make an improvement in one of these areas, it can impact your entire life. Physical health. You get a good, healthy amount of sleep. You choose better food. You exercise. You drink more water. You do that, you sleep better. You sleep better, you wake up more focused with better energy. You can do that into your work and you can be more efficient. When you're more efficient, maybe you can make some extra money. When you make some extra money, you can buy a little time and freedom to do special things with the people you love the most in your relationships. And if you do all this in accordance with your core values and the lessons of your faith, you're never looking over your shoulder. So you're naturally feeling better emotions. When you feel better emotions, you connect better with people. That's all 8 areas impacted by the fact that you just decided to take care of your physical health.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all related.
Yeah. You're one being. You got all these, these are like the numbers on the face of a clock. Those hands are gonna touch all those different areas of your life,
Mhm.
all the areas of the
Yeah.
clock 24/7, whether or not you're paying attention. So wouldn't it be a good idea if you did?
Yeah. Right. Hey, friend. I just wanted to take a quick pause and share something special with you. If you've been feeling like life has gotten really, really loud and your body's just craving stillness and space and something real, I would like to invite you to join me and my friend Frida Karsberg this fall in Paso Robles, California for our 2-day Equus coaching retreat. We are calling it Autumn Renewal, and it's happening October 18th and 19th. We'll gather with horses on the land and a small group of like minded individuals. It will give you an opportunity to reflect, recharge, and reclaim your power. There's no horse experience needed, just a willingness to come and show up as you are. And for those who feel called to go deeper, we're offering an intimate VIP immersion day. It's the one day before the retreat with one-on-one time, energy work, and intuitive guidance. Spots are limited for both of these opportunities, and they always go quickly. So if this speaks to you, head on over to willoughbycoaching.com/events for more info and to reserve your space. We look forward to meeting you exactly where you are. So when you're doing this, like you said, how do you know with each person, or I mean, is it because one size doesn't fit all, let's face it. How do you know, like, where to start with somebody? Like you said, you get like there's 8 areas, that's a lot. People are like, "Well, it's almost like the 20-year goal." They're like, "I can't do this. I'm not gonna do anything." Okay, great. Back at square one. How do people know where to start?
We just have a conversation about where they are right now in their
Mhm.
lives. And this is part of a program that I created, but I also do it when I'm talking with somebody, even just having regular conversations.
Mm.
I say, "Well, how are things right now?" "My life sucks." "Okay, let me go around the wheel here. How's this
Mhm.
part of your life? How's this part?" And if you're a mathematical person, give me a number from 1 to 10 where you feel it is right now. If you're more of a creative storyteller like I am, tell me a little story about how you feel about where your life is at this point. And I can get a good estimation of where they're starting. And it may only be a couple of the areas of their life, but people tend to broad brush and they think this
Mhm.
one area, maybe they're 25, 30 pounds heavier than they wish to be. They don't like the way they look in the mirror. They don't like the way they're showing up. They think it impacts everybody around them. And all of a sudden they're losing, they're struggling, they're a failure. All the other areas could be doing well, could be doing better if they make a choice to do that. But when we start to have conversations and I have them start telling me stories about their life, or I'll say, "What was your favorite thing that happened yesterday? What was your favorite conversation you had with somebody over the past week? What was the biggest problem you helped solve for a client in whatever work that you do?" All of a sudden, I start to see these little sparks of pride, or they'll talk about something and so many people are so afraid to congratulate themselves for anything because they were told that means they're a raging egomaniac. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
they just switch to self-deprecating because they're just keeping it real, which sucks. How many people are given that advice or feel that that's the only way to do it? I love to see some pride pop up in a conversation, and I'll just say, "All right, that's that little ledge we're standing on right now. You think you're gonna fall off a cliff, but you got this good foothold right there. So, let's stay right there, turn around, look up, figure out where you wanna go next, like you're climbing a mountain. What's your next foothold? What's the
Yeah.
next thing you're gonna grab? What's the next path you're gonna take? What's the next direction? Who do you wanna climb with? Who do you love spending the most time with? Who inspires you? Whether it's somebody you know or host of a podcast or author of a book or a person who has a YouTube channel or what, who are you gonna climb with next?
Yeah.
So you don't feel all alone. That's a big part of it. None of us should even try to go through this world alone, which is why I shake my head every time somebody goes, "I'm 100% self-made." No, you're not, jackass. You're not.
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
is. That is the most
Mhm.
egomaniacal phrase I've ever heard. "I'm 100% self-made." No, you're not. I heard somebody refer to one of the Kardashian sisters one time as, "She's a self-made mega millionaire."
God.
Holy crap. No, she's not. That's
Ugh.
impossible. If you have $1,000,000, you're not self-made. It means somebody paid you $1,000,000
Or somebody left it to
or
you
someone left
or
it to you or, you know, you traded maybe you've created the most amazing thing in the world, but somebody bought it.
right.
They were part
Yeah.
of the process, so please stop thinking you gotta do this all by yourself. You do not.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, when you were talking about when you start to eat better or whatever, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut caffeine out," or "I'm gonna, stop drinking those 5-hour energy drinks every
I
day."
drank one every day for 16 years, and,
Right, that's what I know, that's right.
yeah, that was my habit, and I kicked it almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, when you start doing good things, you start feeling better. The
Yeah.
same thing with the negative things, like you said. When you ask somebody and they're like, "Oh, my life sucks."
No.
That's the vision that's the glasses that you're looking at your life through is that, like you said,
Yep.
let's find that one thing that doesn't suck.
Mhm.
What is that? And then, like you said, they start to you start to move forward and you start to be like, "Oh, things aren't so bad." But if you only focus on the stuff that sucks, guess what? Then, yeah, everything feels like it sucks.
Yeah.
And, it makes it really difficult to move forward and to feel good about things, like you said. So I always tell people, just like you said, celebrate those little things. Celebrate one good thing that happened. I mean, if I go to a mastermind or whatever, we always start the thing with, what accomplishments or what wins did you have this week or what positive things do you have to, not how many sales you lost or not how many whatever, what happened that was good? Because the thing is, like you said, if we stop for 2 seconds, take a deep breath, and think about it, there's a whole lot to be grateful for,
Mhm. Yeah.
even if it's one tiny thing.
I've been putting pen to paper for 14 and a half years
Mm,
on about 90+% of mornings over that time span, and I
mhm.
do it very simply. I write down the date, and I write the words "good stuff," and then I write 1, 2, 3. And in less than a line each, which means I've gotta be concise and I've gotta be able to emotionally connect to it. I'll write down
Mhm.
my 3 favorite moments from that day, and
Mm.
I think the greatest thing you can possibly do today for your future self is to write something down that you're grateful for. Because I've
Yep.
looked back years later and opened up a page, and you don't remember every single thing, but the way that I've written a few things, I look back and I just bust out laughing, and I'm right back there in the emotions. I can almost tell in my handwriting the mood I was in that day when I was writing it. If I was
Interesting.
laughing or there have been tough days.
Yeah.
The morning after my dad passed, early October of 2018, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for the next morning because I got challenged sometimes. Somebody said, "Steve, how could you possibly have anything to be grateful for the day your dad died?"
Yeah.
I said, "I had 3. I was thankful I made it to hospice. in time to be holding his hand when he passed. I was
Mhm.
thankful that my sister and my stepmom were in the room with me, and I was thankful that we were laughing in the moments before he passed because we were watching his favorite TV show that he used to watch at lunch every day, The Price is Right, and
Oh
it
my
was the
god, that's so
Showcase
funny.
Showdown, and just before the person made their bid is when he began to actively pass. And
Wow.
so my sister and I have a catchphrase. Whenever we're thinking of dad and we miss him, one of us will say to the other, "Huh, we never found out who got to go to Kosovo," because there was apparently
Was that the prize?
there
Yeah.
was a prize was the trip, you know, and we'll just ask
Uh,
each other once in a while going, "Huh, we never found out who's going to Kosovo," and we'll just both start laughing and think of dad and just say, "He's laughing when we
that's
do
awesome.
that." So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fantastic. I love that. Yeah, that's good. I do the same thing. I have the 5-minute journal, and it's already pre-printed out for me. Three things that you're grateful for, 3 things that will make your day great, and then an affirmation or 2, whatever. And then at night, reflection. What 3 things, were great today or whatever. What do So it's you start your day on a positive note and you end it on a positive note. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
so I love that. And I do think it really makes a difference. And I've been doing it for years, not 14, but a number of years. And at first it was like, well, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
You
not
gotta
gonna
get a
make a
little
difference.
momentum with it because otherwise,
Right.
what do most people say? You say, "Hey, what are you grateful for?" And they go, "My house, my spouse, and my job."
Yeah.
I'll see them a
Yeah.
month later. I go, "What are you grateful for?" And they go, "Dude, I told you, my house, my spouse, and my job." Like, oh my god, if you're gonna say the same crap every day, go get a
Right.
potato, carve the letters in, get an ink pad, and just do
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
But then I'll say,
Exactly.
"What about your spouse today? What was your
Mm,
favorite memory of what did the 2 of you do?" "Oh, we made breakfast together." "What'd you make?" "Oh, we made French
yeah.
toast and scrambled eggs." "Oh, what's your favorite, do you, like, put syrup on it or, what do you do?" Or and they'll start to explain it, and all of a sudden I go, "Go look in the mirror right now. Look at you smile. You're not just happy for your spouse, you're happy for some amazing time that you both got to spend together, and if you were to jot that down, maybe
Yeah.
take a little of maple syrup and put it on that page so you could smell it 5 years from now, scratch and sniff gratitude
Right.
journal.
Scratch and sniff
Because the
journal, I
sense of
love it.
smell is the strongest one tied to memory, and that's another thing I do with my
Mhm.
clients and conversations. "What do goals look like?" And they kinda give me a half-assed explanation of, "Oh, it's this." I go, "Great. What do they feel like? What do they sound like? What do they taste like? What do they smell like?" And by then, they're laughing because like, goals apparently aren't supposed to smell. But I had them tell me a story about the experience of achieving it and what situation or circumstances were gonna be happening. Who were they gonna celebrate with? Where were they gonna go? A buddy of mine was selling his business
Mhm.
that he had spent 5 years building, and his dad was a part of it, and they were going to the meeting, and he was super nervous because they were gonna sign the final papers, and all of a sudden, he was gonna be without a business, but a big check, and he was really nervous about it, and it was the morning after we spoke, and I said, "You and your dad have a favorite restaurant?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, there's this diner we like to go to a couple of Saturdays a month." I said, "Yeah, what do you like to order?" "Oh, I like this." "What's your dad's favorite breakfast?" "This." I said, "Tell you what, how about you go to breakfast after you sign the papers?" Because they were signing at like 9 in the morning. I said, "Why
Mhm.
don't you have a breakfast meeting with your dad and just celebrate all this hard work you just did and really focus on the smells and the sounds and the textures of the food and your server, be generous to them and thankful and share that you're celebrating this moment." And I could see the shift in him. We did it over Zoom. I could see the shift in his face just hearing that, where he wasn't just worried about signing the dotted line. All the work had been done.
Mhm.
Dude, sign the thing, get your check, and go to breakfast with your dad.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that you brought all of the senses in because I work with horses in my coaching practice,
Mm,
and it's huge because that's how horses go through life. They use all of their senses all of the time, every millisecond of every day, because that's how they determine as herd animals and as predator or prey
mm.
if they're gonna be safe or not, right? Because even though they're domesticated, they're still prey animals, and humans, unfortunately, are prey, or I mean, are predators to them. And so when I'm working with a client, like you said, it's like, what does it smell like? What does it feel like? Because people can say those words, those emotions, those words, but they don't think in their body. What does it actually feel like? What does sadness feel like? What does grief feel like? What does happiness feel like to you? What does joy feel like? How do you experience joy on a somatic level? What does it feel like? Like you said, with the smell of the syrup and they bring the pancakes to the table and they're steaming hot and and then you watch the butter melt now I'm getting hungry. Okay.
I
So
know,
thanks a
right?
lot for
If
that.
if I hadn't just eaten, my stomach would be going right now. So
Now
yeah,
I want a big
yeah,
stack of pancakes.
yeah,
I don't eat them that often, but when I
yeah,
do, those I can my mouth is watering just thinking about
yeah.
watching that whipped butter melt over the top of them.
Yeah.
So,
And here in our house, Christmas of 2023, um, I bought Tina a double-sided waffle iron for Christmas. Now we
mm,
we made dinner together actively at least 4 nights a week. And
mhm.
we used to, I used to make pancakes and stuff because Saturday mornings we'd stay snuggled in bed, and then I'd come downstairs and make breakfast. And we had mentioned waffles one time, and she said, "Oh, that'd be really nice." So I bought her a waffle iron, which I used 100% of the time. And some nights when we like, "What do you want?" "Well, how about this?" "No." "How about this?" "No." I'd say, "You wanna do breakfast for dinner?"
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, her big, beautiful blue eyes just got bigger, and she would go, "With blueberries?" I'm like, "Yes, babe, with blueberries." And she had this incredible, spicy, kind of home-fried potato dish that she would make. So
Mm,
we had the skillet going, we had the double-sided waffle iron going, we had the cast iron thing that sat on top of our, gas stove top, and we would put bacon on that. So you got the sounds, you got the crackling going.
nice.
You've got the waffle iron, and if the blueberries are fat enough, they scream when they pop, and they have a
Mm.
high shrill whistle, like their
Oh,
final
interesting. I never
screech.
noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Ow!
the waffle iron would just mash them in, and they would steam up and kind of explode. But that, we would hit all the senses cooking in our kitchen together, making a meal, and,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
love that.
it's so much bigger than everybody believes. It's life every day, it's an experience.
Mhm.
And I wish more people would look ahead and keep their eyes, ears, heart, and mind and gut open instead of staring at their damn phone or their shoes, walking around saying nothing good is happening.
Right, right. Yeah. Yes, we are very dependent on those things, and, it's case in point, if you go any place, if you're traveling and everybody is so focused on capturing the moment on their phone that they're not taking in the moment of wherever they are,
Yeah.
whether it's on a hike or whether it's on whatever it is. The Eiffel Tower, it's like, selfie," and then it's not they're not experiencing it at all.
Yeah.
We need to be more experiential in order to be get back in touch with our own nervous systems, which then in turn will help us regulate and be able to understand why something sucks or why it doesn't suck
Yeah.
and what I can do about it. Because if you're coming from a place of whatever and you're not in touch with your body and emotions and everything else, it's a whole, like you said, it's a whole thing.
Mhm.
And if you're not in touch with all that, you're screwed.
Yeah. And how many people walk around and what's their first, and this is why I always say, I said, don't screw around with the law of attraction because it's actually science. I mean, it's not, I explain things in a very non woo woo way.
Yeah.
I refer to my style as blue collar woo, meaning I'll hand you the tools, I'll tell you how to use them, we'll roll up our sleeves, and we'll do the work together. But how many people walk around every day going, "Oh my gosh, what else could possibly go wrong in my life?"
A
You
lot.
you're gonna make the universe giggle and go, "Hey guys, come over here. Let's."
Somebody wants some more shit in their life.
Yeah, pretty much. And I always refer to that as my definition of karma is, if you're not careful and you're kind of wishing this stuff into existence, it might hit you like a seagull with the digestive output of a lactose-intolerant Great Dane locked in an ice cream truck, if you're
That
not careful.
sounds delightful.
Yeah, but there's a
That's
lot
a
of people
visual right there.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
people doing that because they get up and one little thing goes wrong and they go, "Great, what else can possibly go wrong?" You just
Yep.
opened
My
the
whole day is
door.
ruined.
Yep,
Yeah.
my whole day is ruined. It's 7:52 AM. My whole day is ruined.
I look at it this way, I'm like, "You spilled your coffee. That's the only thing that happened, and guess what? Big deal. Make another cup." I've done that before. I'm like, "Up, coffee disaster. Shit.
Yep.
Alright, let's start over. Let's clean up the mess, and let's start
Oh, yeah.
over. No big deal."
Yep.
It's those things happen. But yes, you're
Yep.
right. If we dwell on it, it will multiply.
Yeah. Yeah, and it will eventually megaply, and it'll take you
Mhm.
out. It's like a wrecking ball swinging for your kneecaps, and guess what? You invited it. So
Mhm.
just be careful with
Yeah.
your mindset, be careful with your words, be careful with your thoughts,
Oh, absolutely.
and be careful with the energy you put into the world every day because it doesn't mean some people say, "Well, I did an act of kindness and nothing good happened for me." Well, you did an
That's
act of
because you
kindness, you
had
just wrecked it
expectation.
by being a jerk about it. Yeah, because you had the
Right.
expectation. I don't
Yeah.
care if people thank me for holding a door open. I honestly don't care. I don't care if I get thanked for anything. All I know is I put as many positive ripples out into the world every
Mhm.
day, no matter where I am.
Yeah.
And we never know where the ripples go.
Right.
So
You
just
don't.
do them because it's the right thing to do. And it's an extension of who you really are or who you are becoming. Maybe you are a person who watches the news every morning and gets cranky, listens to political talk radio on the way to work, and you get there and you're already huffed up and mad. And hey, maybe you listen to a podcast. I know a really good one hosted by somebody named Sue. Maybe you start listening to more positive stuff and it impacts your
Yeah.
thoughts, your words, and your actions on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. 100%. So, now that we're all in agreement with all of that, and I know that you are going through a rough patch right now
Mhm.
with grief and resilience and how, if you can, what are you doing to and I probably already know the answer to that.
Mm.
You've just given me a bazillion, examples. Um, is that how you approach or how you are approaching this very big grief chapter in your life?
Yeah. I stay as open as I can to be aware of all the positive things around me. I look every day for signs that Tina is nearby. Some days she makes it amazingly obvious because her favorite singer was George Michael,
Ah,
and I'll turn on Alexa or, Sirius XM, which I have it in my truck, and I also have the app on my phone, and I'll just look up and go, "Hey, baby, throw me some George Michael. I'm thinking of you, and I miss you, and I wanna hear a George Michael song." And I will turn on the app, and I'll just flip through the channels real quick, and there'll be a song. A couple weekends
I
ago,
love
I
that.
was driving. I was running some errands because my family and I have a small nonprofit, so we help out some of the
Mhm.
local homeless shelters and those working with people in need. 4 songs in a row came on that all have a direct link to Tina.
Wow.
It was a Sunday afternoon. I was missing her a lot that day. I went out to lunch with her dad, which always makes me miss her even more because we always did that together.
Mhm.
4 songs in a row that meant something, um, to me. One was a George Michael song. 2 were Elvis songs, my favorite and hers. And then there was another one, it was the song "Landslide" by Fleetwood Mac. Now, she wasn't a big Fleetwood Mac song, but there's this one verse that talks about how much this person is missing someone else,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
turned on just in time for that verse, and all 4 were on separate channels. Like, one of them
Interesting.
played, and the next song I went, "Ugh," and I just flipped to another channel, and the other song
There it
started.
was.
There it
Yeah.
was.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
Those
look for
signs are
those every
there.
day.
Yeah.
When I'm in the yard, I look for dragonflies, because
Mhm.
that's the sign of a visitor. Occasionally, we have a cardinal, which will pop into
I
the
miss the
yard.
cardinals. We don't get them out here on the West Coast, and I miss
Oh,
them. That was my grandmother's favorite thing.
yeah.
She loved the cardinals. She loved
Yep,
those cardinals.
yep. One showed up the day after I got back from England, One showed up in the backyard. We don't get them that often, but they do appear. One showed up a few days around my birthday in February, and then another one showed up the morning of her birthday right outside the kitchen window in the rocks under the bird feeders, just looking at the house. And, I was just starting to do dishes, and I looked up, and there it was, and I just stood there and bawled my eyes out because it
Hmm.
was on her birthday, the cardinal showed
Oh,
up.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I look for those
that's
signs every
beautiful.
day, and
Yeah.
I always do the same thing when I recognize one, I look up and I go, "Thank you, baby." So, I say
Good to
that a
know you're
lot.
here.
"Yep. Thank
Yeah.
you, baby."
That's sweet. I love that.
Mhm.
So, Steve, what are you doing right now? I mean, I know what you're doing, but I mean, what are
Yeah.
you doing right now? Are you coaching? Are you working with people? Are you getting back on stage? What are you up to these days?
All of the above. I still
Okay.
have some clients that I'm working with,
Mhm.
and, I've got 2 different speaking opportunities have come up in the last few days. One in November, one in October, and, actually, yeah, and one in early December as well that have just popped up. I've been working with some amazing people with one of my mentors, a woman named Terry Levine, who I absolutely adore, who's been so patient and so helpful dealing with all of this. And got a brand new website that is just about to we're about to flip the switch on it. I've got new marketing materials. I've upgraded my speaker one sheet. I flew almost 2,000 miles to get all new business headshots done because my favorite
Wow.
photographer lives in the Dallas area, and she and her husband are going to be moving up to the Pacific Northwest later this year.
Nice.
But I flew all the way down there for one day of photo shoots, and they are my favorite photos ever taken of me, and I do not like having my picture taken, but
I
these were
love that.
magical because we worked collaboratively on the shots. She had all these different locations we went to. It was an incredible day.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, and we were just us, we would look
Yeah.
around and go, "Hey," I found we were at this barbecue restaurant, and I saw that they had this big outdoor smoker. And there was a gentleman cleaning it, and I said, "Sir, my name is I'm a professional speaker. We're here doing a photo shoot. I see you cleaning the smoker. Would it be okay if I just stood in the doorway and held up a little stick that's on fire? Because motivational firewood is my brand. I own the trademark on that." And he
Yes.
goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure, that'd be cool." So he lit a little stick on fire. I stood in the doorway. He ducked behind me so he wouldn't be in the photo. And one of my favorite photos is of me like yelling with a little bit of fire and a stick in my hand, and it was a magical day, but
Fun. Fun. I can't
that's
wait to see it.
all the stuff
Yeah.
I've been doing, behind the scenes,
Mhm.
um, to get through all of this and to get back out there and get on stages because I miss that so much. I just miss connecting with eyeballs and hearts and souls with people and having an impact on how they wake up the next day. And I say, "Look, if you wake up tomorrow and have one more positive thought, word, or action because of our time together, just know it's a huge win."
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, and being able to see people and interact with them and connect with, whether there's 10 people in the room or, 10,000 people in the room. I mean, if you can make eye contact and just by being physically present, I mean, I don't know who's listening to my podcast. I don't know who I'm, interacting with. I don't know what their reaction or how these episodes are resonating unless I hear from them, and I do, and I do. So then I know if I've reached one person, that's great. But a lot of times if you can actually, like you said, make that eye contact or when you step off the stage, people are coming up to talk to you, and it's huge. It's huge. So, I'm excited that you are in a place and in a space that you are getting back out there and doing the things that you love and getting famous again for Tina.
Yeah. And my favorite moment of realizing that somebody was impacted once by a speaking event was around 2014. I actually just shared this afternoon because somebody asked a question about it. They said, "When have you ever, heard about or somehow found out that you had impact?" I was at a grocery store walking down the Captain Crunch aisle because I needed some breakfast bars. I was not planning to stop at this store. I was in between meetings and I drove past and I go, "Oh, I'll stop in here." And a gentleman walks past me. He turns around and he goes, "Hey, man, you're that speaker, right?" And I turned around. We're the only two people in the aisle. I said, "Yes, sir, I'm a speaker. What do you remember?" And he said, "I remember the monster truck couple story. I remember the picture that was on the screen." He described the picture that was on the screen.
Uh,
And he told me the lesson and how he had applied it a week after the speaking event to land himself a job. I did 43 events for free for the state of Mass and state of New Hampshire for their unemployment networking groups.
nice.
And I
I love
said,
that is amazing. That
yeah.
is amazing.
And I
Hey,
asked
you're
him,
that speaker guy.
"How long ago was this?" And he went, 3 years." I said, "I can't believe you recognized me." He goes, "I never thought I'd see you again, but I couldn't not say something."
That's
What a
amazing.
day
That's
in
so
in
good.
the Captain Crunch aisle.
I gotta say, okay, one more thing about Captain Crunch. When you said the word Captain Crunch, first of all, the roof of my mouth feels like it's raw.
Crunch
And
berries.
then secondly, I also have when you eat the Captain Crunch, this has been years and years, I have not had Captain Crunch since I was a little kid. It would leave this film also on the inside of
Mhm.
your mouth. I don't
Yep.
know what that was, but it was and as
Yep.
soon as you said Captain Crunch, all those things came rushing back.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Crunch berries was my favorite as a kid. I actually have a meme floating out there somewhere where I'm gonna be an organ donor and donate the roof of my mouth when I pass away to somebody who ate too many crunch berries as a child.
no kidding. I just had the old school Captain Crunch, and that stuff was brutal.
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
god. Oh, well, Steve, as we're finishing up here, I'd love for you to leave my listeners with one thing, that you feel is inspiring or any whatever you wanna say. And secondly, I know you're launching a new website and, all of that stuff, and I'd love to know where people can get in touch with you or
Yeah.
follow you or whatever.
Yeah. I'll do that part first. Right now, you can go to Steve Gamlin, Gamlin, speaker.com. So stevegamlinspeaker.com. I do spend a lot of time on Facebook and LinkedIn as well, so you can look me up there, Steve Gamlin. And the
Mhm.
piece of advice I will share is actually from the late, great Super Teddy, who was our little dog. He was a rescued Yorkie
Aw.
Pomeranian that Tina and her mother adopted. And according to her mother, then Steve started pimping him out for 11 years and made him famous. He wrote his own book,
Oh,
which was
nice. I love
called
that.
Bust Out of Your Crate, Super Teddy's Top 20 Tips for People to Be as Happy as Dogs. Lesson number
Perfect.
1, wake up every day and wag yourself happy, meaning put
Aw.
something good in your heart, put something good in your mouth for food, and put something good in your ears. Start in your mirror and just point at yourself. And I couldn't say this for years, but I say this now every morning. I point at myself and I go, I love you because you're a good dude and you care. And then I'll say whatever else. Wake up every day and wag yourself happy.
Perfect. Perfect. I love that, and I look at my little dogs every morning, and I see them wagging themselves happy. I just love that. I was thinking the other day, how why do dogs wag their tails? How does that work, you know? What is it about that tail wagging that they're happy,
Yeah.
and then it makes you happy? So I love that.
Mhm.
Wag yourself happy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Is that book still available, by the way?
It's going to be re-released soon. We sold out a while back, and I'm going to get it converted over for print on demand, so that
Oh,
I don't have to
perfect.
have 1,000 copies sitting in my garage like the old days.
Right. Collecting dust or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I've been through that business model before, so it will be released soon. That was a kind of a project that was on the books, and of course, it hit the back counter
Yeah,
going through everything this year, but it will be re-released pretty soon. Yeah,
I love it. That's perfect. Well, I'm gonna get a copy when it comes back out, so let me know for sure.
you got it.
Steve, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for your heart, and thank you for your vulnerability, and that's so much. That is such a gift. And for those of you listening, if some of these messages and a lot of these gems that Steve has dropped have resonated with you, please share this with a friend. And, the usual review, rate, keep me on the air. I'm gonna be here anyway, but it just if you share this with someone else, that means so much to me, and I know it will mean a lot to Steve. and don't forget to wag yourself happy. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next week on Midlife Strategies for Badass Women.